Thank you everyone for being here. We really appreciate you attending the public scoping meeting for the Department of Energy's Programmatic Environmental Impact Statement. Thank you very much. We decided maybe we said we started at 5, but we try to give people some time to come in. So, my name is Dawn Chang, and I am going to help facilitate tonight's meeting, and I greatly appreciate all of you coming tonight. I know that this is a very important matter for all of you. Normally, this is the 6th meeting that we've had over the last 8 days. We've gone to Oahu, Kauai, Kona, Hilo, Maui, and today is Lanai. Tomorrow will be on Molokai. So please bear with us, as this is a really important matter for all of you, as well as for the project team. We want to hear everybody. What we've been doing in the other meetings, and this is something I feel is appropriate here in Hawaii, that I've asked someone to start us off with a pule or something to kind of just put us in a right frame of mind as we begin to have our conversation. So I've asked numerous kupuna and people from here, and Chris has been willing to stand up and start us with a pule. I'm going to say a pule in this facility. I'll call it a pule. So Chris?
Good evening, everyone. As we gather here together today, may we all try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than ourselves. May we try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what we do now depends not only on our happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May all beings express love and become bright and strong.
Before we actually get into the formal portion of our meeting tonight, I wanted to give you a brief overview of what to expect, the agenda for tonight's meeting. There'll be an introduction. This is Jane Summerson. She's with the Department of Energy. She's going to provide you an overview of the programmatic EIS and this particular programmatic EIS. The second portion of the meeting is going to be questions and answers. The last time we were here, probably about 18 months ago, we were here on Hawaii Inter-Island Renewable Energy Project Wind. It was called HIREP. It was essentially a big wind project coming from Maui County, Lanai and Molokai undersea cable to Oahu. Clearly, everyone, it was extremely, there was great passion, but we also took comments, and there were several running themes in the comment, and one was a very dissatisfaction and frustration with the process, that there was not an opportunity to ask questions and have answers. So as a result of the public scoping process that we did for HIREP, we've made an adjustment to these public scoping meetings, which is a little unusual for normal Department of Energy public scoping meetings. We've included a section of the meeting for questions and answers. So there will be an opportunity, there will be a panel here after Jane's presentation where you can ask questions about the programmatic EIS process or anything that you've heard during their presentation. I just want to remind everybody that the real crux of tonight's meeting is the public scoping, is getting your comments as to what should be in the programmatic EIS. So the questions and answers will not be part of the formal record. So it's really important that if you have a comment, that you make sure that that's part of the formal record during our comment period. The panelists, if your question is really a comment, they're going to ask you to to state it during the comment period so that we make sure that we're going to consider it as we draft the programmatic EIS. And then the final portion of the meeting is going to be the formal public scoping. We're going to have a court reporter up here. She's going to take your statement and she's going to transcribe it. And that will be part of the formal record upon which the programmatic EIS, we're going to consider all of those comments. As we considered the comments for the first round is why, as Jane will explain, we brought in the programmatic EIS. I just want to cover some logistics. I believe you probably know this facility so much better than all we do, but the restrooms on the outside, there's some water in the back if you need any. You know where the emergency exits are. There's some sign-in sheets that are really important. One, sign in if you want further information about the process. If you want to be informed when the draft programmatic EIS is available, you want a copy of it, please make sure you sign up and provide your contact information, as we will keep you informed. There's another sign-in sheet if you want to make a comment. And I would ask all of you to sign that up, as what we've been doing for all the meetings is follow that sign-up sheet in the order, and that's the order in which I will call people to come up and make their comments. And normally, again, this is our 6th meeting. We did post that this meeting was going to be from 5 to 8:30. We want to hear everybody's comments, so I'm going to try to be very, how would I say, I'm going to try to, one, be very respectful. I'm going to honor all your comments, but I may move you along. We want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to speak. So as we got into the comments section, I'll go over just some protocols, but one of them is we're going to try to keep people down to 3 minutes. Okay, so I would ask that you respect that as well so that everybody gets a chance to speak. There is a court reporter. She's in the back of the room. Some people don't feel comfortable coming up to the mic, and they would prefer to give a statement. So she's going to be in the back for during the presentation, and you can give your comment to her at that time, and then that will be part of the formal record. Or if some people have to leave early, you are free to make your comment at this time as well. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Jane Summerson again. She's with the Department of Energy, and Jane will do a brief presentation.
Thank you, Dawn. As Dawn said, I'm Jane Summerson. I work for the United States Department of Energy, and I'm the Federal Document Manager for this programmatic environmental impact statement. And I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. I realize that you have busy lives, and this is taking an evening out of it, but we very much appreciate having you attend and having you give us your input. I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce the other people who will be sitting on the panel with me. Jim Spaeth is also with the Department of Energy. He has been basically stationed and working full-time on Hawaii energy issues for the last year. Mark Glick is with the State of Hawaii. And Mark Eckenrode is with the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. So I'll give the presentation, we'll have questions and answers, a short break, and then we'll get to the part of the evening that is recorded and on the record. Our vision of this process, as we've rescoped it and are starting it again now, is to take a look at a very broad range of energy efficiency activities and renewable energy technologies. We want to evaluate the potential environmental impacts of this whole suite, almost like a menu of different options to achieve clean energy goals. We want to look at potential mitigations and best management practices for implementing each one of these activities or technologies that could lessen the impacts that are involved with it. And we want to incorporate public input into this process on each one of these possibilities. This process is meant to be an opportunity to inform decision making. This is an informational process. Okay, why a Hawaii Clean Energy PEIS? Despite the fact that the state of Hawaii is the 3rd smallest user of energy of all the states in the United States, Hawaii is the most petroleum-dependent state, using imported petroleum for both electricity and transportation. And you don't need me to tell you, you have the highest energy rates in the United States. So back in January of 2008, Hawaii and the Department of Energy entered into a partnership, signed a formal memorandum of understanding, and agreed to work together to try to address the energy challenges of the state of Hawaii. One of the things that developed out of this was the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, and a goal was set to achieve 70% clean energy by 2030, which is a very ambitious goal. In addition to that, over the years, the Department of Energy has invested quite a bit of money in a variety of activities to assist Hawaii in meeting those goals, ranging from full-time staff devoted to Hawaii initiatives. We've supported technical and research opportunities. We have supported things like incentive programs for Energy Star appliances, charging stations for electric vehicles, some wind, photovoltaic, a wide variety of opportunities. And while there is nothing specific in the works right now, because the federal government works on an annual appropriations bill and funding, and so we don't really know from year to year exactly what we're going to have, we fully expect there will be additional opportunities for the department to continue to support the state of Hawaii in a number of different ways. And so we felt it would be of benefit to go through this NEPA process to develop an environmental impact statement with a basis of information that could be used to inform decision making. Now, in addition to these issues, the state of Hawaii has also had a history that started before 2008 and is continuing in dealing with energy challenges. And I'm going to ask Mark Glick to talk about this a little bit. Do a little dance here.
Thank you, Jane. And thank you all for letting us come into your community and talk about this, the overall energy program. The State Energy Office is part of the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. And I want to talk a little bit about the context for this. After all, this is Hawaii and it's our state, and the Department of Energy is here at our request. And so the Energy Resources Coordinator is a position that was set up by the legislature in 1974, and that places this whole area of planning and programs for energy directly in this Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. The State Energy Office was established, and a lot of the early efforts were looking at renewable energy. In fact, if you look at the early Energy Resources Coordinator report, which is a requirement the legislature set every year, you'll see this pretty much the same set of solutions: biomass, geothermal, wind, PV. All of those things were contemplated then and talked about greatly, all with the purpose of ridding ourselves or getting rid of our overall dependence on imported oil. So by 1978, the first plans to look at other states and their renewable portfolio standards became a popular topic. And in the early 80s, by the end of the turn of the century, by 2001, the first renewable portfolio standard was adopted by the state. In 2004, a group by the name of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum had an energy summit in which the portfolio standard and energy efficiency standards were set and goals were established. By 2009, these actually gelled into statute, actual laws. But not before, in 2008, there was an agreement, a historic agreement between the Department of Energy and the state of Hawaii
to really target resources and put their energy in an overall program. That program was called the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, and it led to the renewable portfolio standard at 40%, the equivalent of 30% energy efficiency reductions in power production for electricity, and also very ambitious transportation goals. 385,000 gallons of petroleum by 2030 that needed to be reduced. And so the transportation goals are very difficult and represent roughly 2/3 of our overall energy picture. So that remains an outstanding problem. But one of the key things that was done by this Clean Energy Initiative was to target, as Jane had mentioned, a programmatic review, environmental review of the various options to bring. Actually targeted 2 specific programs: wind from Molokai and Lanai, and nobody knows that better than all of you sitting here. When I became energy administrator about a year ago, and it became clear to me in my previous roles, just a little bit about me, I was chairman of the Sierra Club for 3 terms, and before that I worked with KEHEA on a wide variety of environmental initiatives, and we defended Chapter 343 vigorously, successfully. And it became clear to me, and in discussions with Richard Lim, our director, that this environmental review process, this PEIS, was limited. It was unduly limited. So we decided, and at that same time, we received tons of scoping comments from this first round that said it was also too limited. It didn't take into consideration the overall programs of the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. So we decided to reopen the process and to make it broader. And that's the purpose of this meeting today. So is to get your comments on the overall energy picture and the environmental and cultural impacts that Jane will explain. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. Okay, I'd like to talk for a minute about the process that we're using here. The Department of Energy is a federal agency. When federal agencies are undertaking a proposed action, we are required by law to do an environmental review. The governing statute is the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. This statute was passed a little over 40 years ago with the intent of ensuring that all federal agencies, before a decision is made, have the benefit of environmental review and understanding of what the potential environmental impacts are of the actions that they are about to undertake. And at the time it was passed, it was pretty groundbreaking. Thank you. The federal process requires by statute public involvement in it. That's one of the reasons we're here, because it's also believed to be very important that federal officials understand what communities feel about the decisions that are being made. Another aspect of the statute is to define the role of cooperating agencies. This role is based on 2 possibilities. One, an agency that has jurisdiction by law over some aspect of the proposed action, and the other is an agency that has special expertise. The reason that Mark Glick of the state of Hawaii is here is the state of Hawaii is a cooperating agency on this. Obviously, they have a very special expertise regarding the state of Hawaii. And Mark Eckenrode from the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, they are a cooperating agency with jurisdiction by law over any type of energy activity that takes place in the near offshore environment. The Environmental Protection Agency has also agreed to be a cooperating agency, as has the National Park Service. A number of other agencies have been invited, and I have not heard back yet formally from them, but I'm certainly hoping we will have some more. And we have already engaged in discourse and will be benefiting from the knowledge of agencies such as Fish and Wildlife, the NOAA, the Marine Sanctuary, the various departments of defense agencies, that type of thing. The other thing that this statute, or one of the other things that this statute does and the DOE implementing regulations enlarge on, is this thing called a programmatic EIS. Now, the most common type of environmental impact statement is for a very concrete proposal. For example, we want to build a building that will serve a certain purpose in a specific location, a specific community. A programmatic environmental impact statement is a little different from that. This is to look at potential environmental impacts of very broad agency actions, not necessarily a concrete proposal. This is something you do if you're looking to develop a broad-reaching policy, if you're developing a program, and it can also be a planning or feasibility document. In the case of the Hawaii Clean Energy Programmatic Environmental Impact Statement, this is a planning and feasibility document. We are not now looking at any specific proposal or project or any specific location. We're looking at, I think of it as almost a menu of activities that could be chosen by the state of Hawaii, by the islands of the state, by the communities to help achieve their energy goals. And this is a way to provide the information regarding potential environmental impacts, potential means to mitigate impacts, and community input regarding each one of those activities prior to decisions being made or proposals being made that some particular community, island, or the state wishes to use this activity. Oh, and this programmatic EIS does not in any way, and this is very important, does not in any way eliminate the need for project-specific environmental review. Any specific project that is proposed, if it has a federal nexus, if one of the federal agencies is involved, must have an environmental review under NEPA. And then, of course, they all need an environmental review under HEPA, your own state of Hawaii environmental review law. Okay, how did we get here? Both Don and Mark mentioned this. I was brought in, a year ago now, close to a year ago now, and asked to sit down and talk to the state about the various developments of policy and energy considerations they're doing, read all of the scoping comments, the transcripts, the written comments that were submitted, and we had a lot of conversations about what would be appropriate to do. The notice of intent for the High Rep was published on December 14th of 2010. The scoping meetings were held in February of 2011. Of those comments that we received, there were a number of very strong themes. Themes like the types of impacts to look at. Cultural and historical resources was huge. Threatened and endangered species, water, a number of impact areas. But the keys, Don mentioned the structure of the meetings. Please have a question and answer, an interaction and engagement with the community. And then regarding the actual scope of the document were two things. Why just wind? There are so many other things that can be done and should be done that you're not looking at. And why just Maui County and Oahu? Why not look at the whole state? And as a team, we accepted that those were very reasonable comments, and that is how we have now rescoped this document. So the new proposal is for the Department of Energy to develop guidance that we as a department would use in making decisions as we go forward in coming years that would support Hawaii in meeting its clean energy goals. We're looking at, as I said, this broad range of energy efficiency activities and technologies. I think we're at 30-some right now. We're trying to include all the ones that are reasonable and make sense within the goals that Hawaii has set. We're looking at a new area. We're looking at all 6 of the major occupied islands of the state. We published a new notice of intent on the 10th of August of this year. That kicked off the scoping period that we're in now and this series of scoping meetings that we're doing. Okay. We have at the moment identified a number of areas of potential impacts to look at. This is by no means the whole list, but these are some of the key ones that came out or were emphasized in the scoping comments the last time around. Cultural and historical resources, threatened and endangered species, water resources, socioeconomics, air quality, visual resources, and land use. And one that I don't have up there, but was mentioned in those scoping comments, has been mentioned at all the meetings so far, and we fully intend to, is human health and safety. We have 5 clean energy categories that these various activities and technologies are lumped into: energy efficiency, distributed renewables, utility scale renewables, alternative transportation fuels and modes, and the electrical transmission and distribution system. So in energy efficiency, we're looking at how you can more efficiently achieve the same type of activity. Less energy use to heat your house, less energy, which maybe you don't have to do that much here. I live where it snows a lot. Less energy used to cook, to drive, this type of thing. Different ways of doing that would be, say, building codes for new construction, retrofits for existing buildings, energy conservation programs within the community, programs and initiatives like rebates on Energy Star appliances, and then technologies like ground source heat pumps or seawater cooling or solar water heating. For distributed renewables, this is where you use small systems of renewable technologies that provide energy for the place where it is being produced. So this would be, say, a residential system of PV panels on the roof, or a single turbine on a ranch to help provide the energy for that ranch or for a business. And the various ones that we'll look at are biomass, hydroelectric, hydrogen fuel cells, solar photovoltaic systems, and small wind systems, 1 or 2 turbines. For utility scale renewables, and here I owe you an apology, when we published the Federal Register Notice of Intent, there was a typographical error in it. It was my fault. I didn't catch when we, in software, which I'm not good at, accepted comments, it bounced the word geothermal up on the same line with the word biomass, so it gave the impression that we were going to be evaluating biomass geothermal, which is not a technology we're looking at. Those should have been on separate lines and as separate topics. So we will be looking at the technology of biomass. We will be looking separately at the technology of geothermal. We will be looking at hydroelectric, ocean energy, again, PV systems, wind, land-based and offshore, municipal solid waste, ocean thermal energy conversion, and solar thermal systems. Alternative transportation fuels and modes. We have a number of different things we're going to look at as alternative transportation fuels. This would be biofuels of various types, hybrid electrical vehicles, liquefied natural gas, fully electric vehicles, hydrogen, and then mass transportation systems. For the electrical transmission and distribution, because it doesn't help to develop renewable energy if it's not getting to the demand locations, the people and businesses that need it. We will be looking at on-island, within single island transmission systems. We will also be looking at the potential, and I emphasize potential, there is not a specific proposal here, of inter-island connections that obviously would be an undersea cable with transition to land from the sea. And then we'd be looking at technologies such as smart grid and energy storage technologies. The analytical approach we're going to use is to start with describing each one of these activities and technologies so that we all have a basic understanding of what goes into the construction, the operation, the potential decommissioning of each one, the implementation of each one of these technologies. We also need to describe the affected environment on an island-by-island basis, because in order to analyze potential impacts, you first have to define the baseline of the potentially affected environment as it exists now. So we will be describing each of the islands in terms of known cultural and historical resources, national parks, water resources, soil resources. There's a Joe can go through all of them. But this type of information is how you define your affected environment. Then you take those two things, the description of the technology and the affected environment, and you analyze the potential impacts, which can be both negative and positive. It's possible that you will have beneficial impacts as well, and we'll try to identify those for each of these technologies, in addition to the negative ones. Then we want to identify potential mitigation measures. These would be things like designing the engineering of the construction differently so as to eliminate a potential impact, controlling the operation of a system in such a way, only having it operate at a certain season or closing it down at a certain time of night or day to mitigate an impact. This is also where we need community input on what type of best practices or benefits or measures would make some of these systems more acceptable versus less acceptable to communities. Okay, so our proposed action is to develop guidance for the Department of Energy. We could use it in the future if we do this for grant programs and future site-specific projects. We're looking for input on virtually all of these topics that I have discussed. Are we looking at the right broad range of efficiency activities and renewable energies? Are there ones that you believe are more important or less important? What kind of information would you like to share about your affected environments? We're going to go out and do research, but you people are the people who live here in the island. And obviously you know things that we don't know. So what are the things that are important to you about your affected environment that you believe could be impacted that we need to be aware of? What type of mitigation measures? What type of community benefits? What type of concerns do you have in those areas? And what type of guidelines might you like to see? I know that one's a little trickier, but put your minds to it. Is there something that you would like to see that the Department of Energy develop if we decide to move forward with developing these guidelines? And we want input on all of these things. How do you comment? Well, in the NEPA process, there are two statutorily defined opportunities for public involvement. The first one is initiated by the notice of intent, and it's called the scoping period, and that's what we're in right now. It started August 10th, and it extends through the 9th of October, which is a 60-day scoping period. And this is when we ask you again for input on what we're planning to do. We have not started this work yet. We can't give you answers on what our results will be, because we're still waiting to get all our scoping comments and evaluate those before we finalize our work plans and work schedules. We have a number of different processes by which you can comment. You can comment by email. You can comment on our website. You can send us a fax. You can send us a letter. Here tonight, you can get up at the microphone after the break when the court reporter comes up and make a verbal comment, and she will transcribe it. Tonight, you can also pick up a comment form and write a comment. Or if you have something that you have written ahead of time, you may submit that. All of those comments bear equal weight in this process. No one method of commenting is more important than the other. We evaluate all of them equally. At the end of this process, and we always take late comments to the extent practicable. We try to include them as much as we can in the process. We will evaluate all the scoping comments, and that's when we'll finalize our work plans for going forward on doing the analytical work and developing our draft document. We're expecting to complete this draft document sometime mid to late 2013. When it's completed, we will publish what's called a notice of availability in the Federal Register. We will also send a notice to everybody that has signed up on the list to be kept aware of what's going on in this process, saying the document is now available. It will be posted on our website and made available to people for a review. This is the second public input period. We will be looking for the public's comments on the document itself, on our description of the technologies, on our description of the infected environment, on the potential impacts, on potential mitigation measures that we've identified. At the end of that comment period, we take all of those comments, and those comments we put in what we call a comment response document. The comments on the draft document itself from that second session of public input all of the issues that are raised will be responded to in writing in that comment response document. And that comment response document becomes part of the final programmatic impact statement. We will also revise the draft impact statement according to comments to develop the final. When all of that work is done, that will be published, again, with a notice of availability and a notice to everybody who has requested to be kept involved that the final document is available. It'll go up on our Hawaii Clean Energy PEIS website. It goes up on the Department of Energy's NEPA website. It will be available in other ways as well. No sooner than 30 days after that document has been formally distributed, the Department of Energy can make its decision whether or not to move forward with formal guidance based on this environmental impact information, and then we would publish what's called a record of decision to let everybody know what we have decided. Now, it doesn't have to happen on the 30th day, and being the federal government, doesn't happen usually on the 30th day. We're a little slower than that, but it can't happen any sooner than 30 days after the final environmental impact statement. And in that second, let me also say, in that second comment session on the draft, we will use all of these same methods. The intent is to make it as convenient as possible for people to comment in whatever method they are most comfortable commenting in. So that's it. Next will be questions and answers. Mahalo.
At this time, as Jane indicated, we're going to move into the questions and answers. And again, this was in response to the numerous comments that we had that this process wasn't engaging enough. So this is your opportunity. If you have a question about any one of the presentations, either that Jane made or Mark, or a question about the programmatic EIS process, now's the time to ask your question. Again, I want to remind you that the questions and answers are not part of the formal record, but you have an opportunity to ask your question. If your question is really a comment, the panel will tell you, please make it at the time of the formal commenting, so it'll be fully considered as a draft the EIS. So with that, is there anyone who would like to ask? Please come on up. And we'll let you, if you don't mind, come on up so that everybody can hear you.
I have three easy kind questions. The first one is, you mentioned it twice in the notice of intent. Can you specifically identify the regulatory and policy developments since March of 2011 that contributed to the decision to pursue this amended PEIS, besides the comments you got?
We only have one mic. I know. That's a mark.
So what were the policy considerations that led to us rescoping this this effort? The regulatory and, well, I mean, the policy developments were on the state, at the state level. It became clear, again, with the change in, okay, it became clear with the change in the administration and a careful relook at the programmatic EIS process, that it didn't really meet the National Environmental Policy Act, the intent of the, so it was our interpretation. And that also was consistent with the commentary that we received from the public. So really the fund, and what was kind of interesting is before I became administrator, there was an attempt by my immediate predecessor to expand the scope. But because of the way the procurement was conducted for the initial contractor, it was not appropriate. In fact, if it were me, I wouldn't have even made the request for the procurement. But it was made and it was denied. So it gave me a perfect opportunity to change course. We could either ended the process, which I didn't think was a good idea, and in consultation with our director, Richard Lim, we decided let's do it right. Let's expand it and do it in the appropriate way, which meant finding additional money and also finding the appropriate contractor. And it turned out the Department of Energy was willing and capable of doing it and has broad experience, much broader experience than anyone else that we could think of to do it.
I know.
So then passage of the cable bill last session was not a regulatory consideration?
This occurred before.
Okay. Okay.
It's actually, this decision.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
I think my start date was October 14th last year, and I think before the end of that month, I had made up my mind.
Any questions?
Could you specifically identify another PEIS that we might review that focuses on assessing DOE's proposed guidance for future funding, like this one?
The Department of Energy and the Bureau of Land Management just completed a solar programmatic environmental impact statement. Now, the Bureau of Land Management is a land management agency, and their part in that PEIS is actually updating their resource management plans for the land that they manage. But that one also is a guidance one for the Department of Energy, because we don't manage land. We're basically a funding and granting agency. So there is draft guidance in that document.
Okay, I read three of them. I read tar sands, geothermal, and solar you're talking about. None of them use the language you did in this, that it's going to be future guidance.
Okay. Why don't you ask the question?
Sorry, I've read the three, including the solar PEISs just in the last couple of days, and none of them use that language, that it's for guidance for future funding for DOE. Those were for which lands are going to be excluded and which lands are going to be included and which are cultural site sensitive and that sort of thing.
Okay, I actually worked on that solar one, and I'm the one who wrote the language. And solar at DOE is so broad and in so many offices that I had to keep it very, very general. I just couldn't tie it down because the missions and goals are so different. In this one, I'm working with two offices, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, which Jim is a part of, and the Office of Electricity Reliability and Transmission. And they had much more specific goals that they wanted out of the process. And so, as the NEPA document manager, my job is to try to define a proposed action that meets the goals and needs of their program.
Thank you. Your notice of intent says that you're going to consider, and it was up on there on your slideshow too, socioeconomics. The Hawaiian Electric Company has been here many times, and the one thing they've been really straightforward about and very clear is that industrial wind is not a jobs creator. It's not an employment creator. And there seems to be some confusion on this island on that level. So my question is, are you going to scope an assessment of employment opportunities for all 5 of your future DOE actions? Okay.
Yes, the intention is to look at socioeconomic impacts, negative and positive, for all of the activities in all 5 categories.
Does anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Yes. Nope, take your time, take your time.
Thank you. Aloha. It is not clear to me from your presentation what agencies accept or the authority to accept the final EIS. And once they accept it, that does not trigger some automatic approval. You say that each project must get an EIS, but as you discuss all these different agencies at the federal level, at the state level, I get a real spooky sense that once this final EIS is accepted, that there's an implicit approval to go ahead with something, and I'm trying to figure out what that something is.
First of all, the Department of Energy's guidance, should we decide to go through with it and develop it and use it at the end of this process, we can only require it to be used by the Department of Energy. We don't have authority to direct other agencies or the state to use it. However, those agencies that participate in the process presumably are doing it because they think it's going to be of value to them. And in some of the discussions we've had with them, it's things like, okay, great, we could say lay out the process of what we expect to see in our project-specific reviews, perhaps, something like that. But this in no way fills the requirement for a project-specific environmental impact analysis, because that has to, A, define the project in detail, how big is it, and the location, where is it going to be, and then do the impacts for that specifically. We are not doing that in this because we do not have any one project or any one location. So while an agency could tier off this, which would be citing it as a reference, using it as background material, citing the processes in it that we might identify, it does not excuse any agency from the requirement to do project-specific review.
I'll let Ron and then Robin.
The only thing I see missing from this whole operation is the utilities. I sit on an IRP group, and the next question we're going to start bringing up to the utilities is how are they going to handle this? That seems to be a missing link in this whole thing, because they're really going to play a big role in this. Thank you.
The utility, HECO and the Hawaii Electric Industry Companies have no direct involvement in this PIS process, and the guidance that we develop is not anything that they are required to follow. They really are two very distinct processes, the IRP and this federal PEIS. And as Jane described, this federal PEIS is only guidance that the U.S. Department of Energy must follow.
But with that federal perspective, let me give you a little bit of the state perspective as well. And what we hope for this, even though it's been explained this is non-binding, it's not a requirement, we're hoping that all the developers, including the utilities that are looking to try to meet the renewable portfolio standard, will carefully consider the guidance of this document in their future planning. So the IRP is a long-term generation planning and business planning tool. So what we're really looking at are these projects that get developed after the draft comes out. I think the draft will provide the initial guidance, and it's really our intent and our hope that the utilities and the developers, all developers of renewable energy, energy efficiency projects, transportation projects, transportation control measures, will deeply consider the guidance of this document.
I have Robin Kay.
Thank you. I have just two questions. First one is a kind of a follow-up to some of the things we've been talking about. Once completed, could you please tell us what would be the impact on a project like Castle and Cook's proposed big wind that may not need DOE funding and that may start without waiting for the draft EIS? What's the impact you guys, this PEIS would have on a project like that we're facing here?
The one thing that, for example, we know that there's a 200 megawatt intermittent power RFP that's under development. And if wind is contemplated as one of the possible projects in there, more than likely that'll be the probably initial attempt at, it could be the first potential for wind to play a role, and a Lanai role, just in answer to your question. If that were to find its way into one of the projects, more than likely, that RFP won't be issued until end of this year or first quarter of next year. And then you're talking about a process that will more than likely not conclude in a contract that would be approved by the PUC until sometime in mid or late 2014. And the estimated time frame for this project to complete would be and be approved is about 18 months, which would put it first quarter of 2014. So we're hoping that before any projects are ready to be developed, that this will be in place. And you know, I had wished, you know, would have been nice if this could have been completed before that, but we're in the state where we are. But it still could very well inform in a positive way a project development, even under this outstanding draft RFP.
One more question. This is really for Mark as well. I wonder if you could explain how DBED, or perhaps DOE, could consider an industrial scale project like wind power on Lanai, given that the development rights which have gone to Castle and Cook have been totally redacted in any document that we've seen. their application to the PUC for the sale, which included to the sale to Ellison, which included the development rights transferring to Murdoch, have been completely redacted. We have no idea what that development right means. So how could you possibly consider a project like that, especially DBED and the DOE, without making those parameters public?
Well, for the record, and for anybody that's heard me talk, gave this talk at the Energy Policy Forum back in January, and have been saying consistently thereafter, and Richard Lim will say the same thing. We're not proposing any specific project, and in fact, if there's overwhelming community opposition against it, we don't want to see it happen. So, as far as the details of this, again, what we want to see is good respondents to RFPs. We want to see good respondents to project development requests. We want to see really strong ESCOs responding to performance contracts. We're #1 in the nation in performance contracting per capita, and we want to continue to see good proposals, and they will stand or fall on their merits. They will have to be reviewed ultimately in the light of day. And so that's the DBED position about it.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question? Yes, come on up.
Hi, you had mentioned a federal nexus, and in light of the state's proposal to suspend certain environmental rules for some kinds of development, can you explain exactly when there might be a federal nexus? Would it be if there's strictly federal funding, a clean air or clean water federal rule, or would it just be tax credits if they get federal tax credits? Can you explain when that might kick in?
I don't know. I don't know on the tax credit. Federal nexus certainly is if there are federal funds involved, if there is a federal permit involved, if it's on federal lands. I don't think tax credits. Federal loans, revolving loan programs do. Grants that we give, you know, BOEM, you're permitting, right, for offshore. Anything else that I'm forgetting here? That may not be exhaustive, but those are the ones that come to mind that I've had the most experience in. Pardon? Yeah, the cable has a federal nexus quite clearly. Going through, say, a federally run sanctuary or a national park, impact of any sort, those would be a federal nexus.
Does anyone else have a question? Okay, hearing, oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot of this is kind of over my head, but I had a general layman's question. Jane mentioned about being sensitive to each island's needs in fulfilling the 70% renewable energy. If our solar voltaic farm is providing 15% of our power, why didn't we just build that 6 times bigger? That would provide 100% of the energy for Lanai, and that would take Lanai off of the table, and then you move on to the next island, and they worry about themselves. I mean, I don't understand why we're worrying about Oahu's energy problems when we've taken care of ours by making the solar voltaic farm 6 times bigger, and then that's the end of that for us. Does that make, you know where I'm getting at with that? I do. Okay, good.
And I've heard that comment quite a bit over the last week and a half, and I would ask you to make that in the comment session, because that's clearly input on the scope of what you would like us to be looking at. And that's a valid scoping comment. Please make it as a scoping comment. I can't tell you why decisions have been made as they have up until this point. So.
Well, I mean, just in terms of, on the same question though, PV, which is an excellent technology. In fact, we support all the technologies. Is subject to the sun being out. So unless you have storage, you can't turn it into a firm power source. You can't firm it up. You basically at night you would need other alternatives to operate. So one of the reasons why I think my guess is that the developers of that plan, and I think overall with intermittent power sources, the reason why intermittent power sources are not the sole power sources for any particular place is because they are subject to intermittency, which has to be balanced with either storage or some other technology. And in this case, it's balanced with firm power produced probably by diesel in this case.
Do I have any other questions? Yes, Kanoho.
I just have one question, kind of pertaining to a question that I asked last night, and that's what is the system of measurement that we're going to use so that we know we have achieved a 70% clean renewable energy for the Hawaii Clean Renewable Energy Initiative? How are we going to measure that?
So we have the Clean Energy Initiative has 3 goals, and the Renewable Portfolio Standard is measured by essentially kilowatt hours, the amount of energy that's produced to achieve 40% power generation by renewable sources. So, and HECO, for example, and the different utilities are required to demonstrate, measure the amount of power, their amount of sales, and basically the energy produced to achieve those that percentage of their generation capacity. On the efficiency goal, the 30% or the gigawatt hours that are estimated, there is a energy efficiency working group that's currently been commissioned by the Public Utilities Commission to provide a much more detailed guidance. They haven't completed their work, and they're supposed to clarify all of the different efficiency measures as well as the total amount of efficiency that needs to be achieved by 2030 as well to achieve that. Currently, it will be adjusted downward because the estimate was in gigawatt hours, and that is actually, as we reduce our consumption of power generated under the RPS, there actually will be a much less amount of gigawatt hours that will be required to achieve the 30%, roughly the 30%. So we'll get guidance from this working group, and I understand they're supposed to complete their guidance by the end of this year under a docket that's open. The transportation goals are, let me say, amorphous at this stage. The 385,000 gallons of petroleum fuel reduction is a difficult goal to achieve, and that would be a measurement of actual reduction in petroleum on an annual basis by 2030 of that amount. But the truth is, all of our plans so far will come short of that, to be candid. But it will be based on the actual measurement of petroleum that's reduced, gasoline and diesel primarily, jet fuel as well.
Will the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative be taking into account increase of population over time, say, I don't know, possibly a military occupation of 10,000 within Hawaii within 2030 or beyond that? How would they then take that measurement with an increase or possibly a decrease of population in different areas as well?
The goals are fixed, so it wouldn't matter whether the population increases or decreases. The RPS and the EPS are actual statutes, they're law, so they're fixed unless the legislature were to change it. It's really based on those fixed requirements. The transportation goals are simply goals, but they are also fixed currently, so they're not dependent on population.
So with that, getting back to measuring an increase or decrease in population, and also looking at that timeline being 2030, how can we really make a good measurement of reaching that goal within 2030, and not knowing an increase or decrease of population? How do we know that we're gonna achieve that goal? It seems as if there's no system of measurement to achieve 70% renewable clean energy.
I have to say, I think you and Mark need to have a long and engaging conversation on this topic, but once again, I'm going to have to ask us to get back to the program at hand, which is the environmental impact statement. But thank you. You do challenge us with your questions.
With that, if there are no other questions, we're going to move into the formal public scoping process. So I'm going to ask the court reporter to come in the front, and she'll come here. And there are just a few, I'm calling them kind of commenting protocols. Again, we want to provide everybody an opportunity to speak. So, and we're going to have the court reporter. So as you come up, we're going to have a list, but if you could state your name and actually spell it for the court reporter. And it's best if you look at the court reporter so that she can accurately take your comments down. Okay. Obviously, this matter is really important to all of you that are here. Many of you have signed up. We've got, at this time, 30 people that have signed up. So we're going to I'm really going to ask you to be very respectful. I'm going to be very respectful to you as well, to keep it to 3 minutes. Greg is going to be here. He's going to hold up a sign when you've finished your 2 minutes and you've got 1 minute left. I'm going to try to very appropriately stand up and get close to you so you'll know your time is running out. And I really would ask you to summarize your statement. Now remember, you can also put your statement in as a written statement, a written comment. So I would just ask that you honor that, and that we just be respectful and courteous to one another. Why don't we take about 3 minutes to let the court reporter set up, and then we're going to start taking the comments. Thank you. Can we get everybody to take their seats? Okay, you know there's another sign-up sheet, Sally, over there. Can you sign up on that one? This one I'm at my bottom. So that where it says. I hope so. I will ask them if they will. Sometimes they don't leave it, but I'll ask them. Okay, everybody, can we ask you all to sit down? We all want to get you home at a reasonable time. Okay, I want to ask the group permission. Normally, we have taken people in the order that they've signed up. That's been our protocol. It's been the fairest way to go. I have a wonderful group of students who have come, but they all want to go to a basketball game at 8 o'clock. But so they want to do both things. They want to give their statement, but they still want to make their basketball game. So, do I have any objection to taking them out of order so that they can come up and make their statement? No objection? All right. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, I know that they will feel much more comfortable if they come up together. So I am going to call all the students who have signed up to make a statement to come up. If there are other students who also want to make a statement that I didn't sign, that I didn't call, please come up. So I have Francis, Trevor, Carrie, Casey, Aldine, Mark, Taran, Carla, Colin, John, Ariel, and Ian. If there are other students that I did not call, please come on up. I want to applaud these students for, yay! Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. The way that we do this is the court reporter. She's going to take down your statement. So when you take the mic, if you can state your name, your full name, and if you can actually spell it for her, okay? Because or at least your first and your last name.
Okay.
Okay? And you take the mic.
What if we have like two people?
That's fine. You can partner. But speak into the mic so everybody can hear you. State your name.
I'm Francis Ebding, FrancisEbding.
Hi, my name is Mark Pader, Marcpader.
And we both attend this school, and we are both currently in the 10th grade. I would like to say how I don't support the idea about the windmills, because on Lanai, we don't have much to do, and hunting and fishing is one of the two biggest things we have.
With all these things, all these windmills built on the land will be closed down to hunting and fishing. And honestly, I don't think we have the land to give away without us getting any of the electricity and just giving it to support Oahu.
Lanai is a very small island, and with more than half of the island not in use, we don't need any less land being taken away because of these windmills.
Terrific. Thank you, guys. You can go back to your seat. Okay. The next. What's your name?
My name is Tanachit Kofaklang. THANACHITKHOFAKKLANG. So I'm new to this island, but I really like the beauty of Lanai. I don't want it to change because I think it's perfect the way it is, and I think most of the people that lives on this island wouldn't want windmills or cable in the ocean. It could break and it would waste money to fix it and build it, and it destroys the environment, and I cannot imagine a windmills in this island. Please look into solar panels and geothermal as alternatives. Thank you.
All right, next. Don't all rush.
You introduce yourself first.
I gotta spell my name, yeah? Okay.
Your name?
My name is Trevor Sarmi. You gotta spell it, man?
Yeah.
Trevorsarme.
My name is Derek Kahana Nui, DERECKAHANANUI. I do not support the windmills because being raised on Lanai, we grew up hunting, fishing, and taking away a big part of our land, like to go hunting, like Polihua side, go fishing, and yeah.
I think that the windmills is bad because get that cable, yeah? That's 70 mile. That 70-mile stretch in the ocean could kill out a reef and is in that whale area. I forget what it's called, but then, yeah. Yeah, the whale sanctuary. Yeah, I done.
Thank you. Great job. Okay. Who do I have next? No, don't be shy. Come on. Okay. Just state your name.
My name?
Yeah, state your name for the record.
Okay. I'm Carla May Calso, KARLAMAECALSO. My name is Colin Taal, KOLENTAAL.
My name is John Garcia, JOHNGARCIA. I'm here to voice out how I feel about the windmill and cable plan for Lanai. I do not support any of this. The windmill will destroy the land and its beauty. Those places are used for hunting and fishing. I like to see changes and that I will continue to go in these places. The cable is very expensive to put. I would like to see the money to be used in other programs. Please look into other ways to produce energy like the solar and geothermal. Thank you.
Okay. I am here to say that I do not support windmill on this island. I love this place and the windmills will destroy the island. I know the windmills are big and will take up 1/4 of the island. Where will we go for fishing and hunting? Windmill will not last very long. The land will never be the same again. Please preserve this island for I intend to come back home once in a while after graduation because I love this island. Thank you. Why do we have to power Oahu? Can we concentrate on the nice efficiency?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Who's next? You can all come up. Just state your name.
My name is Ian Angelo Roboro. IANANGELO RUABURO. I do not support the windmill because it will destroy the beauty of this island. I like to be able to go fishing and hunting. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
My name is Ariel Tolentino, ERRYEL TOLENTINO.
My name is Chris Luciao, CHRISLOCQUIAO.
My name is Alden Jackson, ALDEN JACKSON.
My name is Casey Sabin, Kaseysavin. I love this island and I grew up here. I love to go fishing and respect the history that comes with this place. Please avert that energy produced through solar or geothermal. Thank you.
I do not support the windmill or the cable. Please preserve the environment and not to destroy the land and its beauty.
I do not support the windmills because why does the power only have to go to Oahu? Why doesn't it just go to Lanai?
Oh, I do not support the windmills because it will destroy the land and not create jobs, and the windmills won't last forever. And the cables is a waste of money, and the government can use this money to other programs. I want to preserve this land. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now that's going to be a hard act to follow. I don't know. The next person, so now I'm going to go down the list. Are there any other students that would like to come up and make a statement before you have to leave? Okay. Oh, come on up. Pardon? Well, you can make a comment if you want. Okay, you can always write it down if you want to. Okay, perfect. Okay, come on up. Good. That's perfect. Can you state your name to this lady? Tell her your name.
Hi, I'm Beata Stokes. Viaita and Stokes. I don't want the windmills because it'll take up the land and everything on it will be destroyed. And no matter how much you try or work, you can't take it out because it's permanent and we have to pay for it. And all the people won't want to be there and you can't go to your favorite spots anymore.
You did a great job. You want to say something? Maybe later. Okay. Okay, truly hard act to follow, but I greatly appreciate all of the students. I know how scary it can be to come up here, but you all did a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay, the list, now I'm going to go down the list. The first three people, Susan Osako, Albert Morita, and Mike Shaw. And normally what I do is I will call the next three names. So the first person is Susan, after Susan, Albert, and after Albert would be Mike. If you have a statement, you can always leave it with the court reporter as well.
Even when you come old, it's just as scary being up here. Okay, I'm going to focus a little bit on technology. We need appropriate technology for every island. Every island needs to be self-sufficient. Lands that are architecturally, culturally significant must be identified and excluded from industrial development. There are so few left. Huge projects like the mega turbines, the runoff will perpetually invade the reef and the whale sanctuary. We are the only island completely surrounded by whale sanctuary. First, I'll start with wind. Those mega turbines are actually obsolete. I've been doing a lot of research and talking to people at universities. We did find wind turbines developed at Caltech that are much more suitable. They're from 30 to 100 feet tall. They take up 1/10 the amount of space. In other words, instead of 7,000 acres, it would take up 700 acres to produce the same amount of energy. These can go up on Oahu. and so we don't need this $10 billion cable. They are vertical. They are being used in Masdar City, which is the first totally zero-foot carbon footprint city in the world. They've chosen them. I have some pictures back there, what they'll look like there. They can look like almost anything you want. They can be architecturally designed to fit in with any landscape. They do not kill birds, and they are totally silent, and the bases for them are really no bigger than fence posts. Also, they provide ILWU and other jobs because they are installed, maintained, and removed when better technology comes along by local labor. In addition, and they blow at night, so we have our night energy. Solar, you know, everyone knows 2D panels. Well, the University of California in Santa Barbara at their nanofabrication facility has now invented a 3D panel that gives us 50% more energy. And there are now mirrored panels that provide 1,000 times more energy than what we're using today. So all of these things can go on each individual island. We can get day energy and night energy without destroying the land. And why has not HECO provided solar panels, leased them to people who have no money for upfront? Why don't we have distributed energy through HECO? They're not using 21st century models for giving us clean energy. Instead, they're using an old model that is just as antiquated as the propeller turbines.
Next is Albert Morita, and then Mike Shaw, and then after Mike is Debbie Dela Cruz.
Hello, my name is Albert Morita, ALBERTMORITA. I was born on Molokai but moved to Lanai when I was a year old. I grew up on Lanai with old timers. I went to school here, graduated right here, ate my lunch right in this school. I was fortunate to come back to Lanai, and I spent my major portion of my career as a conservation officer for the state of Hawaii. I thought the biggest threat to the land at that time were irresponsible hunters and fishermen, and I worked hard to protect the Aina so that we can all share in the resources for our community. Little did I know, the bigger threat would come from a person claiming to be the landowner and our own government. You have taken our queen, don't take our land. Kaulana na pua o Hawaii, kupa ma hope o ka aina, iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino, pala pala a nunu me ke pakaha. Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave, ko kua na honua o Piilani, ka ko mai Kauai o Mano, papu me ke oni o ka kuihewa. Haole ai kau I ka pulima, Mauluna o ka pepa o ka enemi, ho'ohui aina ku ai hewa, I ka pono sivila ao ke kanaka. Aole mako ai mina mina, I ka puukala o ke au puni, ua lava mako I ka pohaku, I ka ai kamahau o ka aina. Mahope mako o lili ulai, Aloha e ka pono o ka aina. Aina ia mai ana ka puana. O ka poe I aloha I ka aina. Mahalo. You saw Mapua o Hawaii, our little children.
You want to leave that? Now it's Mike Shaw, Debbie Dela Cruz, and after Debbie, Lance Anderson.
Mike Shaw, M-I-K-E-S-H-A-W. Mahalo for coming to our fragile island tonight. We will surely hear rhetoric tonight about putting renewable energy on Lanai for the purposes of making money, regardless of the consequences to the island, so we can feed the gorging Oahu. Begging is so unbecoming for everyone involved. And we've already heard a lot about the good, the bad, and the ugly of renewable energy. Currently, the proposals for both Lanai and Molokai are exceedingly bad and ugly. Renewable does not mean destroying our hunting and fishing areas, which feed many families. Renewable does not mean destroying our visitor attractions and distant views. Renewable does not mean bulldozing roads through sensitive archaeological sites. And renewable certainly does not mean utter disregard for this island at the hands of the governor with the promise of fictitious jobs or fraudulent claims of 40% lower electric bills. It's just not going to happen. Renew means to make a new beginning. It should also mean to energize a new Lanai, to allow this island to be sustainable and stand on its own 2 feet instead of looking for a bailout. Island self-sufficiency is the most efficient, cost-effective, environmentally friendly, and local job-producing way to power Lanai. We cannot allow these islands to be overrun by outside interests whose interests are ultimately on the outside. In case anyone failed to notice, however you account for the creation of these islands, they're not making any more. This is ours to preserve as carefully as possible because it is not renewable. You can say oops, you can't say oops and get another one. Mahalo nui.
Debbie Dela Cruz, Lance Anderson, and after Lance, Rosalani Kaho'ohalahala.
I'll be formal and say Deborah Dela Cruz, D-E-B-O-R-A-H-D-E-L-A-C-R-U-Z. My name is Deborah Dela Cruz. I'm a Lanai homeowner and full-time resident. Thank you for coming to Lanai to hear our comments. I hope you now appreciate how small this island is, and I hope that you take a good look as you fly out of Lanai tomorrow, and you can appreciate how large a percentage of the island the wind project would take up. If you had flown in, you would have noted that it was a long process to come a short distance and that the ride over wasn't the most enjoyable. I bring this up because tourists have to make a real effort to get here. Our high-end tourists make the effort because we have something different to offer. Unspoiled scenery and a chance to enjoy nature in a place where you don't have to worry about your personal safety. Our visitors pay a lot, and I'm sure our local hotel workers would confirm that in turn, they expect a lot. I asked that the PEIS specifically address the effect of construction and the unsightly wind turbines on this particular category of tourists. It's not worth short-term jobs, most of which will go to non-Lanaians or other small incentives if we kill our tourist industry. Hawaiian Electric Company Executive VP Robbie Alm was asked why they don't just put solar on all homes. He said they sort of proposed that, but didn't do so because the solar industry was not happy with them. They felt that HECO was moving in on their market. This type of squabbling points out the lack of concern for the public, with each industry focused only on how much they're going to make. The state has energy goals, but doesn't appear to have an overall energy plan or ways to coordinate energy producers. Recent state laws protect investors, not the public. The PEIS can't force cooperation, but at least force developers to be upfront. For example, I asked that the PEIS require that project-specific proposals include projected utility rates based on actual downtime and maintenance, repair, and other costs experienced nationwide for similar projects. The proposal shouldn't just show rates based on projections from developers, which typically are overly optimistic. Both rate projections should be used in evaluating projects. Lastly, there needs to be an emphasis on energy independence and conservation on each island. Another Lanaian brought up at your Oahu hearing that Oahu offices have their AC up so high that people use heaters. I just wanted to add that an Oahu resident confirmed that was happening and said that the heaters were making some people too warm, so they had fans. If that doesn't show a lack of interest in energy conservation, I don't know what does. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you. I have Lance Anderson, Rosalani Kaho'ohalahala, and is it Viatea Stokes? She went home, okay. Then after Rosalani is Robin K.
Aloha. I'm here to, my name is Lance Anderson, L-A-N-C-E-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. I'm here to voice my opposition to the Big Wind Project, as everyone knows, would place an industrial-sized wind farm on Molokai and Lanai to provide power to Oahu. I support a statewide plan that makes each island energy self-sufficient through a means that is respectable and acceptable to each individual island. I'm an environmentalist, and I'd like to start by pointing out that this project is not green. None of the electricity will actually power Lanai. We'll still be burning fossil fuels for the majority of our power here. It's estimated that over 250 million pounds of concrete will be needed for the turbine basis, and that's not including any roads. Concrete will likely be made using our already scarce water supply. Concrete, dirt, chemical, and freshwater runoff will pour onto our reefs. Think about it. This is not good. Lanai is the only island which is completely surrounded by the humpback sanctuary. I'd like to address jobs. This is a jobs killer for Lanai. Saying that the project will create jobs doesn't make any sense, and saying it 1,000 times does not make it true. Outside labor will produce this. No one will sit and watch the blade spin around after it's produced. Our jobs do come from tourism. According to the Hawaii Tourism Authority, visitors spent $87.2 million last year on Lanai, $87.2 million. They come here for Lanai's unspoiled natural beauty, not to see 400-foot turbines that will be visible virtually all around the island. They're huge, they're going to be seen everywhere. If you value jobs, you should be against this project. The cable itself is a ripoff. It's a huge transfer of wealth from the public to a handful of private companies who mostly will send those funds out of state. Now the HECO ratepayers have to subsidize the cost of the cable without limit whatsoever. And I don't think that's going to make our rates go down. Mr. Murdoch, that will not make our rates go down. This is effective corporate welfare for a company that's already a monopoly. They have a market capitalization of $2.6 billion as of this morning, and they're far from a company in need of a corporate bailout. I've got some more, but my time is up. I checked the weather this morning, and the wind does blow on Oahu, so no cable needed. That is all.
And I really appreciate that. As I get closer, you sort of got the idea that your time is up. If you've got a written statement, please feel free to leave it with the court reporter, and that'll be your full comment. And then Chris Richardson.
Aloha mai kako o Roselani ke li'i kanaka o le pua kea ka pe'amu ka ho'o halahala ko uinoa. I'm here to speak for my keiki and their future. We do not support the construction of an industrial wind power plant. It would desecrate 1/4 of Lanai. The damage to the land, cultural sites, endangered flora and fauna, and coastlines would be irreversible. My family depends on ka'a and pauma'i to put food on our table. It is where we go to fish, hunt, and gather. It is where we go to just relax and get away from it all. Do not destroy my keiki's home. Mahalo.
Thank you. You want to leave that with us? Okay. Robin Kay, Chris Richardson, and after Chris is Pat Riley.
Aloha, my name is Robin K. Robin Kaye. I have been the spokesperson for Friends of Lanai, a nonprofit formed in 2008 to oppose the Big Wind project. Friends of Lanai understands and applauds that this PEIS is designed to be a broader, wider scoped examination of renewable energy possibilities than its predecessor, the High Rep, which was an incredibly narrow, short-sighted, politically driven project that cost us as taxpayers over $3 million. Because High Rep, better known as Big Wind or No Big Wind, will be incorporated into this amended PEIS, I will address my comments to industrial scale wind on Lanai. And for those of you not familiar with what that is, just take a look at the model, which is to scale based on Castle & Cook's EIS in 2008. I note for the record our displeasure that there has been no report to the public on the High Rep PEIS. Now we are told that a report will be available after these scoping meetings. The timing of this release is yet another step in the ongoing efforts to keep the public in the dark about Big Wind. Make no mistake, despite the notice of intent statement that this version will not be site-specific, this PEIS, if it includes, quote, utility-scale renewables, land-based wind, means wind for Oahu on Lanai. There has been no transparency for Big Wind. There is a total cover-up of the deal between Lanai's newest majority landowner and its previous one regarding Big Wind. There are legions of hidden agreements between HECO and Castle & Cook, and Big Wind fails to pass the test on many of the categories listed in your notice of intent. For example, cultural and historic. Over 200 cultural sites have been documented within the targeted area for Big Wind. These are not simply piles of stones. These are storied landscapes that preserve the Hawaiian nature of this island for generations to come. Water. There is no water for that targeted area. The state has to deliver water almost every day to keep the deer and the sheep alive. How will the cement foundations be prepared without water? And what will happen when there is a fire? Oh wait, there are no fires in windmills. What about the issues of coastal zone management? What happens to all the soil when these huge foundations are dug? If the holes are 60 feet wide by 13 feet deep and the dirt's piled up and we get even one day of rain like we had last week, all that soil goes down to cover that beautiful, pristine reef. And what about shoreline access? You've heard about that from everybody here so far tonight. Those are significant fish habitats. People make their livelihood, their foods out of that area. Another category is land and submerged lands. What about Polihua Beach? Will the cable go across Polihua Beach? Where would the inverter station be built? Biological resources. How would an industrial wind power plant impact the 4 federally and state endangered species that we have in that area? And the whales. How will the materials be transported to the site? How will Kamalapau Harbor be impacted? How will hunting and industrial... Oh, how will I stop? I will stop. This is a really bad idea. Don't do it.
I really appreciate that everybody is honoring this 3 minutes. It may be awkward. Please feel free to leave your comments. After, I've got Chris Richardson, Pat Riley, and then David McPherson.
Thank you for the lay, by the way. That's very nice. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Chris Richardson, CHRISRICHARDSON. Thank you for this opportunity to testify as a resident of the island of Lanai, Hawaii.
Indeed, it is important to resolve energy needs for our community. Most importantly, is finding solutions with minimal impact on the population and the environment. In Hawaii, any project involving land and sea take a very special matter of concern. The island ecosystem is isolated and fragile, particularly to large-scale modern development practices. Historically, a disregard for the natural processes of the Hawaiian ecosystem have a legacy of devastating environmental impacts. Many outside influences have introduced schemes that damaged reefs, freshwater aquifers, soil components, and the flora and fauna of this region. Although arguments are presented that certain development plans are good for the economy or needed for infrastructure, the end result has been damaging. For example, Hawaii is now known as the foreign invasive and native extinct species capital of the world. Therefore, every effort must be made to tread lightly upon the land, not only preserving, but restoring and augmenting the natural resources of fresh water, ocean, air, and land are absolutely essential in Hawaii. Also, it must be understood that the sovereign nation, culture, and practices of the native people of Hawaii have suffered dramatically from the imposition of some foreign business ventures. Development in Hawaii within the past century has increased steadily and exponentially in recent decades. Development is always presented as a solution to problems. However, large-scale industrial development has always resulted in unforeseen damage to the environment. Despite temporary input to the local economy, development ultimately seeks new unspoiled resources to exploit in order to overcome financial shortcomings. The entire paradigm is reliant upon continuous plundering of nature in order to mimic true sustainability. Firstly, any solution to the problem of energy independence should begin with the full-time inhabitants of this region. Programs must focus on the homes and communities of individual families for the input of resources to produce the necessary components of modern living. Support and funding must be directed to the taxpayers that perform the work and inhabit the land. Sincerely yours. Thank you.
Pat Riley, David McPherson, and then Bruce Harvey.
Aloha. Thank you for coming. Thanks especially to the students for coming and the teachers who brought them here. I think my heart goes out to you, and thank you for Akaku for putting this on. You know me, I kind of think of things a little differently, but stick with me on this. We can't do without electricity. Many of you know there are places in the United States and throughout the world that don't have electricity. They don't have an economy. There are no jobs. The problem is we pay for everything. So if we pay for everything, we have a right to say how our money is being spent. Now, we've brought them, you've come on our taxpayer money to come and allow us to make this testimony. So as a teacher, I'm going to give them some assignments, and I hope you give them some hard assignments because I want some information. One, you create a table and tell me what my electric bill will be in 2030. Somebody's doing that. We need that information so we can make a good judgment as to what kind of electrical power is right for our island, for Molokai, for Oahu. We all know the biggest demand for electricity, and it's going to grow, is going to be on Oahu. How we take care of it here is up to us. We're paying for everything because the legislature last year said, you will pay for everything. Now, the second table I want in information is, you tell us all the tax incentives, all the tax rebates, everything on our income tax that doesn't go on that electric bill, we're still paying for everything. And the second thing that really strikes me, this is not just like a storm going through. This is forever. We will pay forever. We have a right to decide how to use our own money, don't we? Thirdly, I want the creation, and this probably goes to the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, the creation of billions of dollars of a claims fund. Just like in the BP oil spill, the developers should, not us, not taxpayer money, the developers should put up $20 billion in a claims fund so that any of you or anybody in Hawaii that loses their rights or access to the land or suffers some damage or damages the ocean, they can file a claim. That's what they're doing in the BP oil spill, and this is forever. Thank you.
I have David McPherson, Bruce Harvey, and after Bruce, Kanoho Wailuku Helm.
Aloha. My name is David McPherson, D-A-V-I-D M-C-P-H-E-R-S-O-N. I'm a resident of Maui. I have had the honor of working on this beautiful island for over 5 years. First, with the Maui Invasive Species Committee, helping to fight against the invasive plants. And within the last year, I started with the Maui Nui Seabird Recovery Program. We're working with the Maui Nui Seabird Recovery Program, working with endangered Hawaiian petrel. I strongly oppose the wind turbine project at Ka'a. The wind turbines have potential to critically harm the endangered petrel colony, which we have worked so hard to study and learn how to protect, as well as numerous migratory birds, which ultimately can be struck by the turbines. On Maui, we have already seen many seabirds and other native birds that have been killed due to the wind turbines. No matter what the mitigation proposals have been and accepted, windmill company on Maui has not fulfilled their agreements, just empty promises and excuses. It saddens me to see how they're allowed to keep on working. They have no accountability and no one is holding them to it. The windmill company biologists talk a good story. They are also more like salesmen to me. And I know this behavior would continue with this project here on Lanai. I do not want to see the wind turbines ruin what we all work so hard to protect. All the Hawaiian Islands are different in their own right. Lanai holds a very unique identity, a small, close-knit community that benefits from the natural resources of hunting, diving, and fishing. The wind turbine project would devastate the way of life for this community. From taking away hunting grounds to runoff that would ruin the reef and ultimately destruct Hawaiian cultural sites. I am a hunter and recently had the chance to hunt mouflon with my father from Ohio. I want to enjoy those moments with him in the future. The ability and privilege to provide food for your family is second to none for me. I know many people on Lanai benefit from this ability to hunt and fish, to provide for their family. The occupation of these lands are not worth sacrificing. There are other alternatives to look at. I proudly stand in opposition of this windmill turbine project. Thank you. Mahalo.
I have Bruce Harvey, Kanoho Wailuku Helm, and then Donna Stokes.
Yes, aloha. My name is Bruce Harvey. I'm born and raised on Oahu. Lived on this island since 1999, and I'm currently a off-road tour driver. Nobody's ever really touched on the social ramifications of what this windmill project will do to the island of Lanai. I've seen firsthand after large construction projects here on the island with workers coming from off-island, bringing their cars over, leaving abandoned cars down on Keeaumoku side. I see plenty of rubbish on the side of the road, from beer bottles to lunch plates. I know we had some problems with some teen pregnancies. I mean, I used to work construction, so I'm not really bad-mouthing all the construction workers. I'm just saying some of them weren't like in the best light to bring to this island. We had some teen pregnancy problems. We had some cops busting some houses here for ice problems. We don't need any ice or the methamphetamine problems bringing in here. I think we just got to watch out for our community. I don't think anybody really realizes the impact that that will have with people not respecting our island. And I see a lot of that. I'm off-road a lot, and I see that a lot. And it's mainly, I kind of hate to say it, we all live in Hawaii, we all like to respect our land, but I think some people come here and don't respect our land and our island. And I just don't want to see that happening. So, thank you, that's all I have to say.
I have Kanoho, Donna Stokes, and then after Donna, I have Kathy Spitalaski. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. My name is Kanoho Wailuku Helm. I'll just keep this short. We have another meeting back home on Molokai where I plan to comment and also submit comments. But I wanted to encourage everybody to submit written comments as well and make as much comments as you can and put it in, because that's very important. I feel proud to wear this shirt tonight. Kupa'ano Lanai. I just wanted to say that Aloha Molokai stands in opposition of the wind turbines and the cable right alongside with Lanai. You know, I think these companies and the government, they want to, you know, divide our islands and come in between us and, you know, pit us against one another. But that's not going to happen because we got to hold steadfast. And not just steadfast for Lanai and Molokai, but we also need to hold steadfast for Oahu as well, because that's our ohana over there as well. And you know, by keeping Lanai the way that it is, and by keeping Molokai the way that it is, we hold steadfast for our ohana on Oahu, because you know there's a reason why Oahu is the most populated island and is the capital of the state. Because at one time, if you eliminate all those huge developments that is there today, at one time Oahu probably was the most gorgeous of all the islands. And that's why it is overdeveloped and just is terrible today. So we need to keep that roadmap for our ohana on Oahu, so that they know what open land looks like. They know what, you know, living off the land can be. And, you know, if someday people choose to exodus to the outside islands, you know, we have open space as well. But they live in respect to how we live. So, you know, also we hold fast for Oahu because we love them as well. That's all of our family over there as well. And all of Hawaii. Mahalo.
Donna Stokes, and then Kathy Brindo.
My name is Donna Stokes, Donna Stokes.
The island of Lanai is only 13 by 18 miles small. Ka'a is the largest, most significant, and most abundant ahupua'a on our island. This is the area that they want to put the windmills on. In this day and age, we have to protect our areas of significance and abundance and not destroy them. This ahupua'a also includes the only and largest 1.5 mile secluded white sand beach on Lanai. We will not let this area and our lifestyle be degraded, desecrated, and destroyed just to meet Oahu's increasing electricity needs. Our Hawaiian community strives to keep this particular ahupua'a healthy and intact for future generations to practice their heritage, cultural gathering rites, and spiritual beliefs. We hunt, fish, and gather there because it is still abundant, whereas other areas on Lanai have been used and abused, have been depleted or covered with erosion and silt from previous ranching and plantation use and is no longer abundant. If you destroy the ka'a ahupua'a, you will be adding insult to injury. You will be ruining our only area of abundance, a place where we still practice our culture and Hawaiian gathering rites. Ka'a helps us to live our life the Hawaiian way, a healthy way. On Lanai, we don't have fast food restaurants, supermarkets, major supermarkets, shopping malls, or recreation centers. Yes, the land and ocean are our food cabinets and refrigerators, and it's also our recreation centers. Department of Energy, David Murdoch, PUC, and Hawaiian Electric, you must not destroy our island, our resources, and our Hawaiian way of life. For we are a small Hawaiian and minority community, and we all depend on this land and ocean resources to sustain ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. We have nothing else. Without these resources, we will perish. We need what's left of Lanai. We need the ka'a ahupua'a intact, and we will fight to preserve it. Oahu needs to learn how to conserve their use of energy. Many offices on Oahu have air conditioners blasting, and the employees actually have personal electric heaters to keep warm. And at the state capitol, it's so cold, everyone has to wear jackets or sweaters, and that is a tremendous waste of energy. Oahu needs to tap into their own energy resources to meet their demanding energy needs. Start by mandating solar PV panels on every building. So I just want to say again, we oppose the windmills because it will create irreversible damage to ka'a, to our way of life on Lanai, to our cultural sites and gathering areas, to our food and medicinal sources, to our native birds and turtles habitat, to our rare and endangered native plant habitat, and to our only and secluded, abundant white sand beach and pristine reef. I'll submit the rest of my comments. Thank you.
I have Kathy, two Kathys, and then Beverly Ziegman. Is Kathy here? No? Okay. Kathy Brindo, are you here? After Kathy Brindo is Beverly Zigman, and then Kale Kaho'ohalahala.
It's Kathy with a K and Brindo. I'm against the cables and the wind turbines. My main reason is ecological and then sociological. Fact is, I wear a necklace, and on one side it says, "Family's my heart," and the other side says, "Lanai, my soul." So this will get rid of about 1/4 of my soul if they go through with it. But what I really wanted to address here is another issue, which is the issue of jobs, which concerns so many people here. I really believe that the turbines will affect our tourism. On Lanai, basically, well, you know, we have maybe 3 places we can go. You have the Holly, you have Kemoku Shipwreck side, and you have Garden of the Gods, Polehua side. Well, if the Holly is locked in because of rain, and if you have wind turbines this side, all you have is the shipwreck side. That's what we have to offer. How can we compete? How can we compete with Haleakala? How can we compete with the volcano, Napili Coast, Waimea Canyon, Oahu, with all its beaches? People have choices. They have money, they have choices. Why would they come here? What would be our draw? What are we going to say? We used to say, well, we're an unspoiled island. We will be spoiled. My feeling is the big money interest and the government, they keep selling off our gold and giving us back silver. And that's what we end up with, less and less all the time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have Beverly, Kale, Kaho'ohalahala, and then Warren Asako.
Aloha, my name is Beverly Zigmond, Z-I-G-M-O-N-D, and I have been a resident of Lanai for 20 years. Thank you for coming to our island and listening to our concerns. This new PEIS is to analyze a broader range of clean energy than the original HIREP, which only considered wind or no wind. And for this, I want to be encouraged, but I want to be hopeful. I support energy self-sufficiency for each island as determined by each island. I am opposed to big wind on Molokai and Lanai, as that project would devastate these 2 pristine islands and turn them into industrial wind generating plants for the energy greed of Oahu. I'm opposed to the cable. Some issues that need to be considered include conservation, particularly on the part of Oahu, is indeed the low-lying fruit as described in an earlier scoping meeting. Does Oahu, or any other place for that matter, really need precious resources so that toilets can flush automatically? If we are truly so concerned about reducing our dependence on foreign oil, why are we not looking at food security? Grow our own food, produce our own milk, instead of having everything shipped from the mainland, or even worse, from foreign countries. If we stop importing asparagus and other food from Central America, South America, Mexico, Canada, the savings in oil would appreciably contribute to the reduction in demand for oil. Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative is being driven by developers who see tax incentives and subsidized costs, allowing them to generate huge revenue streams. And to my understanding, the Clean Energy Initiative is not a mandate. Some concerns in regard to the big wind project. What about decommissioning? What would be required from the developer? Would they be required to move the 1,100 cubic yards of cement in the foundation of each of these turbines? Will the 60 feet diameter holes be refilled? When these holes are dug, each hole large enough to fit 3 double-decker buses, how will the soil be disposed? What about the runoff? The issue of water must be addressed. What is the source of water for all this cement? We don't have it here. That's my drinking water. I am not giving it up. What happens when one of the turbines catches fire? But then that never doesn't happen, does it, Robin? There needs to be an in-depth analysis of the impacts of the Kanipu'u Dry Forest Preserve also. What part does the military play in this? What about the cultural impact? The wealth of cultural sites as well as cultural importance that this proposed site cannot be disregarded. It has been referred to as a bishop museum without walls. Are you willing to destroy this for huge profits for a mainland developer? Don't settle for a limited field study of that impact area. And who is going to conduct that study? What about the marine, land, and air creatures? We've named all the endangered species. 1/4 of the island for maybe 20 jobs at the end rapes our Aina and prostitutes our people. I am a sex assault advocate by trade, so I don't use those words lightly. That project would rape our land. The loss of the land and our way of life will be permanent and irrevocable. That means forever. As rape destroys a woman's soul, big wind will destroy the soul of this island. Thank you.
Calais, and then after Calais, I have Warren Osako, and then Diane Preza.
Hello, my name is Clay Kaumaka Kauahala. K-A-L-E-I-K-A-U-M-A-K-A-K-A-H-O-O-H-A-L-A-H-A-L-A. I don't want windmills on Lanai because it doesn't belong on Lanai. The windmills kill most of our land on Lanai. Windmills don't save energy. It doesn't keep our island green. Lanai was made to practice hunting, fishing, and gathering food. No windmills. Save our island. And something. Sorry. I don't want windmills because my family me and my cousins were raised on Lanai and gonna be my grandpa, Galen Kauala, took us to many places on Lanai and taught us the history of Lanai. And sorry, that's okay. I'm done.
I have Warren. After Warren, I have Diane. And then I have two more students, Christian and Chris.
My name is Warren Osako, O-S-A-K-O, and I will be referencing articles in the Star Advertiser. According to an article that was in the Star Advertiser yesterday, Hawaii added 16.6 megawatts of capacity from solar, residential, and small business installations. That was for the second quarter, April to June. In the previous quarter, it added 14.8 megawatts of capacity. That's a total of 31.4 megawatts. To put it in perspective, phase one of Kaheava is 30 megawatts of capacity. Kahuku is 30 megawatts of capacity. Awahi, which is presently being worked on, is 21 megawatts. And the biggest projected wind turbine facility would be 69 megawatts at Kauailoa on Oahu's North Shore. So from these small residential and small business installations, we have the capacity of some of these industrial wind power plants. And in today's Star Advertiser, there was an article that said HECO will increase the number of small PV systems that can be hooked up to the grid without having to do the costly study. This is systems of 10 kilowatts or less. Previously, like September 10th, the Star Advertiser ran an article that said there is talk about curtailing or reducing the state tax credits for solar voltaic. But if they do this, it should apply to all renewable energy, just not solar. And if they curtail it for the small person, the individual, or the small business, it should be curtailed or reduced for the big industrial developments also. Why should the big industrial plants take precedence over the individual or the small business. And in other words, I think the people should come first, and we should look at and keep track of, if they do a reduction, that it applies to everybody. Thank you.
I have Diane. Are the two students, Christian and Chris, did they leave? Okay. After Diane is Stacy and then Christine Costales.
Okay, aloha. My name is Diane Preza, D-I-A-N-E-P-R-E-Z-A, and I was born and raised on Lanai. Thank you for listening to my concerns. I am Native Hawaiian and a member of Kupa'ano Lanai, which means steadfast for Lanai. Mahalo to our Moloka'i brothers for coming over. We support you, and we are so thankful that you're here with us. Hawaiians are connected to the land. It's part of our identity. Many of the social problems we face as a people is largely due to the loss of our land. Ka'a is a culturally sensitive area. It is rich in both ancient and modern history. Ka'a is more than a piece of land. It is us. We are interwoven into it and cannot be separated from it. Many Native Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians rely on that area for sustenance and spiritual well-being. Because of this, I'm humbly asking you to please study the following in the PEIS. 1, the psychological effects that an industrial wind power plant will have on Native Hawaiians on Lanai. 2, the potential for jobs for Native Hawaiians and for longtime residents currently residing on Lanai, taking into consideration the length of employment. 3, the negative social effects due to the displacement from the land. 4, the overall effect on health and well-being of the indigenous people. I'm so happy to see so many students and young adults in the room. I look at them and I'm grateful, but I also worry for them. I worry for their future because they deserve the best. So I think to myself, what kind of legacy are we going to leave them? So I ask you to please ask yourself that when thinking about this project. Thank you.
Stacy, Christine, and then Sa Kaho'ohalahala.
Hello, name is Stacy, S-T-A-C-I-E, Ko'anui Nefalar, K-O-A-N-U-I-N-E-F-A-L-A-R, space between the two. I'm so proud of my community. Everything that everybody said, I agree with. So I have a 2-page testimony, but I don't think I'm gonna need to use it. So I'm just gonna pick and choose. I support anything that does not destroy our land, ocean, and air, and preserves our Hawaiian values and culture. And I testified back at McKinley last week, and I did mention that we need to be mindful of big businesses, corporations, unions, and government officials who aim to make a lot of money on these energy projects, and how they tend to think with their wallets and not do what is best for the environment and its people. It might be on paper, but not necessarily that's actually what happens. So I believe every island is unique and should be self-sufficient according to what is best for each island. We need to work together to come up with non-destructive ideas and solutions for our environment. I like what Susan said earlier about placing PV or wind turbines on our homes. I'd rent my roof to the electric company. You know, I'd do that. That's a good idea. And also for people like me who cannot afford $16,000 photovoltaic panels, I do not want to go and have to take out a loan for that just to get a $12 electric bill. That's ridiculous to me. Don't see why it has to cost that much. So for my house, my electric bill was over $400 a month. I was able to bring it down for more than $100 just by cutting back and looking for unnecessary usage in my home. I have 1 minute. Okay. So provide tax break or incentive to those who consume less energy. You know, the government always tends to look at big, huge projects and not individual people. If every individual person did some type of energy conservation, that would be such a ton of energy or oil, you know, we use less. Why not go that way? Why always go big, huge projects? So conservation and Hawaiians are green and sustainable since 300 AD. There's a lot we can learn from them. Also, our state motto and what is on our state seal, Ua mao ke ea o ka'aina I kapono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Seems some of us, or including our government, has lost sight of that, of that motto and what we stand for. I do not support a massive wind farm on Lanai or Molokai, nor do I support any undersea cable due to its destructive nature. Thank you.
After Christine is Saul, and then Auntie Winnie Besquez.
Aloha again. My name is Christine Costales, CHRISTINE, COSTALES. I testified last week on Oahu at the first PEIS scoping meeting and shared with you some of my concerns and a vision for this unique island I called home. I debated whether I should say the same story I shared with you and the Oahu people who attended the meeting. To my surprise, everyone who spoke at that Oahu meeting was against the cable and the destruction to Lanai to support Oahu's unconscious overuse of energy. A man from Kaneohe said, "Why should Lanai be a burden for the people of Oahu?" And he started explaining what he had done to save energy in his own living environment. A woman asked, "So if we are all connected by this cable and there is a blackout, does that mean all the islands are blacked out?" There were many more comments from simple-minded and logical people to engineers, scientists, and even a retired judge questioning the validity of this so-called federal and state goal. And we, the people, will be paying for the cable with our tax monies, and noted the highest energy use was fuel for transportation. I decided to tell my story again with a few adjustments. So, e kalamai. I'm taking advantage of this because all you people are from Lanai and never heard it. Within Ka'a is a place called Palihua, the largest sandy beach of Lanai, where Pele ate the delicious flesh of the sea turtle, where history of a Hawaiian village of heiaus, burial sites, and koa fishing shrines still remain, where an anthem was written confirming the use of maneva neva as a lay plant. Ohu ohu, Palihua, ika maneva neva, kale kaulana o ka aina, Palihua adorned with maneva neva, the celebrated wreath of the land. At Nanai, child of Kaula, honored is the lei maneva neva, magnificent on the chest when worn, on the sacred breast of Vakea's child. Maneva neva is found nowhere else on the island except at Palihua. Palihua continues to be a place where the people of the island gather their food. What will be the impact to the lifestyles of the people? Where else will you withhold our rights to gather, prohibit and rob us of the people's healthy lifestyle? Kia'i Akavelo, a place that is so breathtaking, a place where we can view our sister island, Molokai, and a place where our spirits connect to the land. Can you feel it? This is what you will destroy forever. Wili wili trees flourish in the hidden ravines of Ka'a, as do other native trees such as the nayo, olapua, ahakea, and medicinal plants like the pua kala. Are they going to be protected from the destruction of excavations? Are they going to be buried by dirt, debris, rocks, and cement? Where will excess cement be dumped if not used? In the ravines and gullies where no one is watching?
Will workers be able to identify a burial site or even report a petroglyph? Okay, getting the signal here. This is Lanai. I returned almost 20 years ago. This is why families return generation after generation to either take care of their elders, as I did, return to the pleasant environment they remember it to be, or to live out their lives for the next generation to return and care for them. This is what Lanai is all about. We are the people that need the land, the water, the ocean to be sustainable. We live on an island in the middle of the ocean. Is this cable going to feed us? Right now, in my time, I do not want this for my grandchildren or my children and my great-grandchildren. How sad would it be if my grandchild asked, who is responsible for this destruction? And the answer to them would be, one of them was your tutu. She decided that for a short period of time, it was best. So she supported it. Today, I make my stand for the next generation of tomorrow to not destroy this land. Mahalo.
You can leave your statement soon. I have Saul, Auntie Winnie Vasquez, and then Sally Kay.
Aloha, o kolomona ka ho'ohalahala ko inoa. Kalei spelt the last name, so he's right on. Thanks, Kalei. I'm a 7th generation Lanaian, and our genealogies go back right now 700 years. So if you're looking at who we are, that's who we are on the island of Lanai. And I'm happy to see our families that are here tonight, but also I want to support everyone's testimony, and I want to give, to add to that, testimony that's going to be mostly around our Hawaiian resources on the island of Lanai. So I want to begin by talking about Kane. The god Kane was noted to have arrived here on the island of Lanai first. So when you talk about our Hawaiian deities and our Hawaiian gods, you will note that Kane is considered to be the god of man. He's the creator of all things, all living things. He is also the god of the sunlight. He's the lord over the forest and the creatures of the Aina. He is the spirit in the living waters. So when you talk about our water, you talk about Kane, the water of life. Kane, along with Uli, have fathered Lono, Kanaloa, and Ku, our other important deities. And also their Wahine deities, Laka, Tapo, and Hina. So all together, when you look at Kane, I want to note that because the relevance of Kane has everything to do with this island. So not only did they arrive on Lanai first, but let's talk about the place. Kane Pu'u. Kane, the god. Pu'u, the high, the mountain, the hill. Well, Kane Pu'u, as most of you know, is located within the Ahupua of Ka'a. Okay? And it is a place given to honor the God that creates all of us. It is the highest promontory when you go out to the area of Ka'a. So you go stand on the hill of Kane Pu'u, and you can look 360 degrees in all directions and see all of the northwest part of Lanai, all of Lanai Hale, all of Palikaholo. You see it all from that hilltop. Just imagine we're going to build windmills that are going to be higher than the highest place that the people have given honor to the highest God in Hawaii. Wow, that's pretty, I don't know. What do you guys think? That's my point. Polihua. Thank you, Chris, for mentioning Polihua. When you talk about important places within this district of Ka'a, Polihua talks about Pele. When Pele did her travels to find her home in the Hawaiian Islands, when she came to the island of Lanai, it is at Polihua that she arrives. It is there that, like Chris said, she feasted on the honua'i, the short-necked turtles of Lanai that nest right there at Polihua. That's Polihua, where the eggs are all gathered in the bosom of this place. So She found that Lanai had these beautiful things that gave her the ie. She played it here at Mauna Lea. She ate the turtles of Polihua, but this was not the place that she made home. She continued her voyage. But look at her travels, and you will note she makes reference to Lanai in Polihua. Other storied places, Keahi Kavelo or Keahi Aloha. This is the important story of this place, because it talks about our relationship to Molokai. And it talks about who Kavelo was on Lanai and how he and Lanikaula had an ongoing battle. And perhaps that's why Kanepu'u is without a lot of the resources of the forest today. If you know the story of Keahi Aloha or Keahi Kavelo, then you should know what I'm talking about. That is a storied place of Kanepu'u. Haleolono. When Kamehameha was ready to do battle on Oahu and he stops on Molokai, he takes some time off to come to Lanai, to Haleolono. And he says that the reason I need to go to Lanai is because that's where the gods first arrive. So even Kamehameha is going to come to Lanai, to the district of Ka'a, to make tribute to Kane and Kanaloa and Ku. And that's important. That's part of our stories of this place. So I want to speak to this because as a Hawaiian who has our genealogy embedded into this place, it is our job to make sure we take care of our Aina. And if no one can take care of this place, then who are we? When there is no more Kanepu'u, when there's no more Polihua, when there's no more Keahi Aloha, Keahi Kavelo, what do we have? Windmills? I cannot speak the story of the windmill, but I can speak the story of our heritage, and this needs to be protected. So, in this process of scoping, my challenge to you is, how will you mitigate all of these kinds of stories that are part of our heritage and our genealogy? And as a closing, I just want to read one portion so we understand the scope of Kane, because Kane belongs in Ka'a. She wants me to summarize Kane. Okay. Well, I want to read you this because I want you to know the breadth of Kane. So we're not talking about just one thing here. So, O Kane Kanaloa, O Kane, the great lightning flashes in the heavens. O Kane, the render of heaven. O Kane, the rolling stone. O Kane, the whirlwind. O Kane, the rainbow. O Kane, the atmosphere. O Kane, the rain. O Kane, the heavenly cloud. O Kane, standing before the pointed clouds. O Kane, standing before the heavenly clouds. O Kane, the cloud above. O Kane, the cloud floating low. O Kane, in the clouds resting on the summit. O Kane, in the cloud over the low hills. O Kane of the heavenly star. O Kane, the dawn. O Kane, the clouds of the horizon. O Kane, the red rainbow. O Kane, the great wind. O Kane, the little wind. O Kane, the zephyrs. O Kane, the peaceful breeze. O Kane, the strong thrust. O Kane, the great water source. O Kane, the little water source. O Kane, traveling mountainward. O Kane, traveling seaward. O Kane, dwelling in the mountain. O Kane, dwelling by the sea. O Kane, dwelling by the upper precipice. O Kane, dwelling by the lower precipice. O Kane, grazing upward. O Kane, grazing downward. O Kane, glancing at the upper spaces. O Kane, glancing at the lower spaces. Sleeping Kane. Kane, sleeping with the great light. Kane, sleeping in the coral. Kane, sleeping in the long coral. Kane of the quaking coral. Kane of the steadfast coral. Kane of the sharp-pointed coral. Kane of the wafted coral. Kane of the swift runner. Kane of the slow runner. Kane, Kane, Lono. I will live through all of you, my God. So that is the breadth of this place that we give tribute to, named Kane Pu'u. Mahalo.
I have Auntie Winnie Vasquez and then Sally Kay. And Saul, if you want to leave anything for the court reporter?
Aloha mai. My name is Winifred Vasquez. Winifred, Vasquez. I reside in the island of Lanai. This coming February will be 50 years I've been on this island. There have been a lot of changes. You know, when new Malahini comes to this island, it's a mine, it's gold. Why? They got everything handed to them, right? And here we, the Hawaiian people, aloha, come, helimai, come inside. Yeah, but in the meantime, in the back of this mine over here, they say, what are you going to get out of them? They get the color, they get the land, they get everything. And what we get, I don't want to say the word, just leave it in your mind. Okay, first of all, I'm the representative for the Aha Keole for the island of Lanai. Talk about ka'a. You see that model in the back there? You know what that looks like? It looks like graveyard. You know the graveyard where you get crosses and stuff. You look good. When I went to the Puvalu in Honolulu, the state capital, I handed this over to Faye Hanohano. She looked at it. What's going on, Anthony? I said, the windmill. One blade is over 3,000 pounds. The windmill alone is 410 feet tall. It's more tall than a pine tree. And the thing is that 170 wind turbines. Hey, people, what's going on, man? I don't see that. You know something? Mother Nature gave us everything. Remember now, the spirits are here. They're listening to what we're saying. All the kupunas who has lived here, and what? They're taking away all our land, our resources. The people here just work hard to live off the land. There is Lawaya and Mahi'ai. Lawaya and Mahi'ai means from the mountain, the meat, the deer. The ocean is the fish that we eat, we put on the table for the people to consume, your family. When I go fishing, I'm not too keen with fishing, but you tell me about hunting. Hey, I go hunting. I'm for it. I go deer hunting, I go mufflon hunting, I even went Molokai, go Chaldean hunting. You know what that is, eh? Goat. In Filipino, it means goat. But I go hunting Molokai, and it's so good. When you go outside there, you freedom. But when you get all these turbines coming around, hey, we ain't gonna get no fish, we ain't gonna get no deer, we ain't got nothing. I hate to say this, stop this thing now before it gets worse. And when we get worse, you're gonna get Allah Allah. That means you're gonna get nothing. Mahalo.
Thank you. Sally Kay, and after Sally, is there anyone who hasn't signed up that would like to make a statement?
Sallykayye. I'd just like to offer a comment on your scope. I think it's much, much too narrow. You've spent, by your own account, many millions of dollars of our money so far chasing the HCEI, the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, which is unenforceable and non-binding. And I'm sure you're aware that the RPS, which seems to be a centerpiece for everything that's happened in the state for the last 5 years, the penalties for not meeting them can only be assessed against HECO shareholders, not ratepayers. So it appears we're in the business of shoring up our monopoly utility. In any event, I think your scope should be far beyond 2030. Tear up the HCEI, throw it out, start over. Take a 7-generation approach like the Native Americans. What would the last 7 generations think of the choices we're about to make? How will the next 7 generations think of the choices we are going to make? Smart money will be spent on making each island energy independent. That is a choice that the last, as well as the next 7 generations can respect. He lehu lehu nakanaka, he kaka ikahi ka'aina. Many are the people, rare is the land. Please keep that in mind.
Do you want to leave your statement? Okay. All right. Is there anyone who hasn't signed up? Yes, come on up. Just state your name.
Okay. My name is Kelohilani Kohohalahala, and you spell it Kealohilani. Kahoohalahala. I don't want windmills on Lanai because it destroys our land. Our land was made for certain things. It was made for hunt, fishing. It wasn't made for windmills. Windmills won't keep our Aina green. It won't save jobs. It will only destroy everything, even our Hawaiian birds. Our Aina, keep it safe.
Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have a comment that they'd like to make? Yes, come on up. Okay, very good. Just state your name so she can put it down.
Lucy Gaceta, Lucygaceta. I'm opposed to windmills in general. People keep saying that the islands are different. The islands technically aren't different. We all come from the volcano. It's the communities, okay? But regardless of where you put these windmills, you're still destroying land, wasting water, polluting air, and people will just be unhappy with it. Solar, that is the way.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else want to make a comment? Okay. Okay, brother, mahalo, just state your name for the record.
Hi, Gary Suzuki, GarySuzuki. I'd just like to testify. Only now I see this picture. I see us. So go get on road for go all the way. You know how big these things are, yeah? So all that runoff, like I cannot imagine the devastation. Who stays sitting down on this, the kind get the authority for go do all this? And then shame on you guys, or whoever whoever is the guys doing this. Shame on you guys. Or you guys the one like go make this. Shame on you guys. No, you know what can happen? They're going to say, oh yeah, you can go hunt, you can go fish. Then somebody going to shoot one of these. And then what? They're going to make chains and they're going to lock all the place up. Yeah? That's automatic already. It's going to give in. Look at that. Please help save Ka'a. Please do not allow this to happen. I beg of you guys, please, wherever you guys can make a difference, and please help us not do this, please. Thank you. Aloha.
Does anybody else want to make a comment? I will tell you, I have really appreciated just the courtesies and respect. Do you want to say something? Okay. Come. Just state your name.
How's it, everybody? My name is Max. Last name is Renegado, Renigado. My perspective as far as what you guys are going to develop for here is like the windmills this, the windmills that. If the erosion gets to the ocean, how are you guys going to undo it? Because if you look at Molokai and on the east end, there's all that erosion. If you look at Lopa, there's all that erosion, all that silt on the reef already right now. There is no technology to undo it. This hasn't even started yet. That side of the island is a natural fishery. No matter where you launch a boat, it's very costly to get there. So you got to make it worth your effort. Now, if this project does happen, how are you going to stop the sand from getting, the dirt from getting onto the reef? Because as you know, Hawaii has one of the best reef systems in the world. Some are isolated, like that one, and it's very productive. I don't think anybody here has the knowledge, skill, or equipment to undo and vacuum up all that silt that's gonna eventually land on top of the near shore reef. And if our near shore reef is dead, more worse than what it is now, how are our people gonna eat? Because not everybody can afford to get a boat. And should the windmills do go up, and you guys do allow hunting with a bow and arrow or whatever, you gotta remember now, our community has a lot of high-powered rifles, and not everybody has the same proactive and peaceful mentality. You get one bad discussion going, alcohol and drugs induced, no matter what you say, what you do, or what, I guarantee you my entire year's paycheck that somebody's gonna shoot that windmill. And then by doing so, it becomes not just a civil offense or a county offense, it's a firearm violation that can entail federal law imposed upon that incident. So now you're bringing federal government to that windmill project. That's nobody thought, oh, we never want to get the federal involved as far as maintaining. But because somebody with one registered rifle, one high-powered registered rifle, we put one puka in the windmill, they're now going to get involved because now you're threatening the life of the project. I don't want that to happen. If you can prevent it, hey, fine. But our community, somebody will do them. And what is the worst case scenario? That whole area that you guys projecting, that windmill, going to be on kapu for everybody. Zero take. Zero take means no tourist action, no hunting access, no fishing access, no ADA access, because it's federal law, because somebody that's considered terroristic threatening, and that's not right.
Thank you, brother. Okay. Does anybody else have a comment that they want to make? Yes, come on now. Yeah. You need a break?
My name is Jessie Myers. I think we heard almost everything over here, and thank you very much, Lanai. I do not support windmill or cable. I just wanted to speak about our family tradition. When I was 11 years old, I came to Hawaii, and I live over here since then, except my college years. And we have established a family tradition in here. We go fishing, my mom and my dad. There's 9 children in the family. They bring us fishing almost every weekend. And then later on, they develop to hunt. We go, my husband and I now and my family, go to Pulihua, all those area, almost every weekend. And my family comes with us. The little girl over there, she's 7 years old, and she's hunting with my brothers. So they are very saddened when they hear about turbines and cable. And it saddened me that they will not have this tradition. It may be lost. The activity, the family bonding that we have cannot compare. It's the only activity that I can see that is very valuable to this Lanai. They call it Lanai is Ohana, one family. I would like to see that. We adult, I stand in here right now, we are responsible. I am responsible to fight for this tradition. I am here tonight to please consider not touching that Pulihua place. It's valuable to the families of my nieces and my nephews. And we love this island very much.
Okay. Does anybody else have a comment that they want to make? Again, I have greatly appreciated the courtesies, and you guys have really kept to the time. You have the opportunity to submit a comment up until October the 9th. I think Jane gave you different ways. You can email it, you can fax, we're going to Molokai tomorrow and then back on Oahu on Thursday. You can also mail your comments in, but we really greatly appreciated the time that you've taken to be here. I don't know, Jane, do you want to say anything?
I would like to thank again everybody for taking the time to be here and for sharing your thoughts with us and your island with us. Thank you.
Hey, you had the toughest job, man. What? You had the toughest job.
Can I ask you how many people?
Oh yeah, people at the end just walked out. Maybe about, I think about 50.